This part of Nevada is actually pretty beautiful. I guess this would be considered upstate Nevada. Not really sure. It's not too far outside of like Elko, Winnemucca area. A lot of interesting named towns. I really just thought it was gonna be like flat, absolute nothingness, but there's a lot of crazy elevation changes and beautiful mountains over in the background to the east. Well, this is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. It's the Bonneville Salt Flats. It's in Utah, just over the border of Nevada. As I was driving through on Interstate 80, I noticed it, decided to pull off, and I'm sure glad that I did. It is absolutely incredible. Cool. You can just drive out here and pretty much go in any direction that you want. The whole like salt flat area is over 10 miles in length, and there's just like no road or anything like that, so everyone is just like driving off into all different directions. It's kind of weird driving around without a road to act as your guide. It could probably be pretty easy to get lost out here if you start venturing off too far away. The area is traditionally used as a speedway, so this is where they've like taken out the famous like rocket powered cars and like tried to break the sound barrier with motor vehicles before. So that's pretty cool, and it's also just really quiet and peaceful out here. It's something else. Utah, at least geologically, has got to be one of the prettiest states in the country. It is mind-blowing how beautiful it is here. I was so fortunate to be able to spend a week here back in the spring, and now I unfortunately don't have as much time, but I'm driving through the Salt Lake City area right now, and it is, I mean, it is gorgeous. So I've been driving for most of the afternoon and evening. It's now like 1 a.m. and I made it to Casper, Wyoming. I decided to stay at the Walmart here, and guys, there are hundreds of other RVs and camper vans and people camped out in cars. There are tents everywhere, all throughout the Walmart parking lot. I've never seen anything like this. I'm gonna get some rest, and I'll talk to y'all in the morning. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about this. I don't know if it's just the eclipse itself or the fact that there are just so many people here to watch it, but it should be pretty awesome. So we've got about an hour to kill before the eclipse even starts, and considering that it'll be Tuesday by the time you guys see this video, works the same way as always. Post your questions below. I'll pick out a handful of them and then answer them as part of next Tuesday's vlog. First one from Small Girl versus Big World. They say, I'm interested in how many times do you see your family and do you miss them? In a year, not too many times. It isn't very common that I get the chance to see them, but I really do value the time that I get to spend with them, and of course I miss them. I miss them very much. A big reason for this whole trip is to go back to Massachusetts and New England and spend time with grandparents and parents and all of my family who I haven't had the chance to spend much time with over the last year. Do they call you and check up with you to make sure that you're still alive? Yeah, I talk to my parents pretty much every day, and then I also speak with extended family members very frequently as well. JRO Bessie, hey Nate, I just started my van life last night in an O2 Odyssey right on in San Diego. Now that you've given up on solar, can you let me know if you have a great setup for running your fridge without solar? I would say the simple answer to that question is no. My setup isn't really a true battery isolator, so it's just a a cable that runs from the car battery, the positive terminal of the car battery, to the positive terminal of the house battery. So all it does is equalize the charges, and it takes usually at least a couple of hours of driving around on the highway for those charges to get equalized. Now, on the road trip like this, yeah, it's been great. I just drove like 10 hours yesterday. The battery is still full. It ran all night with the fridge on, and I'm looking at it, it's still like 12.5 volts this morning. So yeah, that's really awesome. But generally speaking, if you're not driving around a bunch of hours every day, my setup isn't great. I would definitely recommend getting some sort of a solar solution. Books by Best. How do you find people to give surfing lessons to in San Diego? Do you work for a company or just offer it to random people on the beach? San Diego, like most cities in California, has very strict rules, and particularly with surfing lessons, so that you have to have like an individual permit, and you pay for that permit with the city of San Diego. They only offer a handful of them, so just going around and asking people for surf lessons is actually illegal. Like, you could end up with massive fines and stuff like that. The lifeguards are always looking out for it. So I work for a company there, and yeah, I'm just an employee of the company, and I teach lessons for him. Johnny Knoxville, do you have any distant relatives involved in the Boston Tea Party? That's an interesting question. I'm about 99% sure that's a no, though. Most of my family immigrated from Portugal and from Canada in like the early 1900s, at least as far as I'm aware, so that would probably make it very unlikely that they were involved in the Boston Tea Party, but who knows? You know, I guess you never know. Maybe I have some distant relative somewhere. DRE Wells, if you don't mind, how long did you work and what's the pay like in regard to the sugar beet harvest? I was there for like just about 3 weeks or so. I made about $2,500 in my first year there for the first 3 weeks, so it's pretty good money in a short period of time. It is a lot of work. You're working pretty much, you know, 10 to 12 hour days every day for like 2.5 straight weeks. You might get a day or two off if, you know, the weather is too cold or too hot or too rainy or too snowy, but for the most part, you're pretty much just working non-stop. But yeah, I mean, it's a base pay is like $12 an hour, which isn't really that great in your first year, but when you think about it, when you add in the time and a half and the double time, it actually ends up being closer to like $16, $17 an hour. So it was definitely a good experience. I definitely recommend it just for the experience alone. And the last one this week is from Chris Rangel. They say, what do you mostly miss about living in a house, or miss most about living in a house? I think that's probably having a digital piano. When I lived in an apartment, I had a nice digital piano in addition to my guitar, and I could play that occasionally, and I just don't have the room to fit a digital piano here in the Element. It's just not going to happen, but maybe when I get a bigger van at some point in the future, I'm going to try to figure out a way to at least get a small keyboard or something like that in there, because that's probably one of the only things that I really miss about having that little bit of extra space in an apartment. Is this a good look for me? I was pretty lucky. The people next to me had an extra pair of glasses. I was not very prepared for this event. I didn't really bring anything with me. I did try searching for a solar filter for the lens of my camera, but they were sold out everywhere. I went to Best Buy. The guy said they were sold out across the entire country. There wasn't a single one left in all of their inventory, so I guess that it just is what it is. I guess I should have prepared like months in advance instead of just a week or so in advance. I'm gonna do my best though to get as much footage as I can of the eclipse without just completely destroying my sensor on my camera, because I can't afford for that to happen. But during totality, I should be able to get some cool shots. It's very difficult to describe how incredible that experience was. I was so fortunate to be able to come over here and to make sure that my path to Chicago crossed with that path, and to be able to experience a total eclipse of the sun. I mean, it was absolutely mind-blowing, guys. It was emotional. It was a very powerful moment in my life, and it's something that I'm going to remember forever. Solar eclipse traffic. Everybody's stuck over there on the interstate, but I got redirected, fortunately, by Google to this service road here, and I'm going to be on this for the next 40 miles instead of sitting in that. I'm heading north and then east towards South Dakota. I'm probably going to be driving for the rest of the day and trying to make my way over there so that I can get to the DMV tomorrow on the one day that it's open out of the week. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll talk to y'all in the next video.